All right, here we go again. So I won't most likely be doing the extra duty today. I'm a little late, but the Lord said it's intentional as far as not being late. But you're there's only so much power. So again, I have this like most people that are in Aaronic priesthood and doing those requirements. Heal that child. Grandpa's got her for a walk. Just you can see them being presented for blessing. Again, spirits will do things, and he may even know. I don't know. I've healer on the back of my van, so he may know. Well, I have a tendency to push for the Lord, but again, I have so much coming against me. It's only so much we can do, right? The sacrament, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other kind of deal, right? Converse might be part of it. Okay, so it looks like it says Pharisee. I don't know if it says that, but it's like Feresee. So again, the execution looks like it's brewing here. So, right, they brought people from the outside. You have people inside your city that are part of the contacts, right, coming after Christians. Most likely. I mean, it may not be, but that's what it looks like to me. They try to make it look like it's a homegrown thing, protecting community, but it's not. Right? People ripping off the world, killing people. They're sick. So, yeah, I mean, all the stuff I'm doing with the blessing, uh, with the Shema, the oil clay lamp, the Ashkavenu, a lot of work. So, the Lord said I'll resume next week. Again, you got to realize, I mean, you probably don't, but there's a ton of people willing me out, will me down and curse me in reference to going to church. Most people don't have that. Again, that illusion. Why do they do it? Because I'm big. Right? I'm a big spiritual being. They stole the church and they want to keep it stolen. Right? And of course, some of you are just afraid. The military. My Munson was good. It was in the military. Got him trained. So that was interesting. Thank you, Larry. Yeah. So. Yeah, I knew I was with Dallin Oaks at a certain point, like about when the thing came up about what they were wearing. I knew it was Dallin Oaks. I knew I was with Dallin Oaks. Well, you live your life, and the Lord needed me. I guess it didn't need me out there. Again, the Lord wanted me to have a nice life, but there's only so much that the Lord can do with this planet within the confines of the requirements of all of it. Again, I don't want to get too deep into everything. But thank you, Larry. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it makes sense. So that's how I got the little book. But it wasn't only Dallin Oaks. There's other people, and other people had other things going on. So there's a kind of an uplifting that goes on when Dallin Oaks is pointed to all that. Well, because like years earlier, I was going to go in the army. I had like a delayed entry for I don't know what the time period was, but something happened and it didn't happen. I went to college and stuff, right? So we reversed it. But what should have happened again is I should have went to West Point, or I should have went to an ROTC program, and then nothing would have fallen apart. You see, right? Or back to the synagogue, or maybe to a church. I don't know. It'd be kind of weird to find. I guess if I could have found the LDS church, it could have worked. Right? God bless you, Larry. God bless you, sir. So, right. So that all got me forward, and then you can see there's something going on there. Again, it not only helps. Like the fundamentalist churches can, and I'm not against them. Sometimes the church needs to be shaken up, and God will bring something like a fundamentalist church. Where recenter this here. So, and that's cute. If they hear from you, they want to meet you, and I never show up because I can't get anywhere because the government keeps killing me, and there's private sector criminal cronies, right? But it's weird with me because I'm not selfish. If I was selfish, they wouldn't have my helps, and so they wouldn't be wondering where I was. And if I was selfish, though, I'd be somewhere, right? It's like a paradox, catch-22, whatever that is. Thank you. Yeah, my silences are kind of wacky today. Well, if you probably study a lot of church, like different churches, even Judaism, something was happening around that time period everywhere. So again, I spoke about before I knew about the LDS stuff, that the world experienced, I knew this independent of any LDS information, the world experienced something around the advent of Yeshua ben David, Jesus Christ. Now, you have to also understand other things are going on too. So we can't just focus on that. So again, I think the LDS Church is in moving in expansion. So again, so they'll go, oh yeah, they're accepting all these religions. That shows to do with the Antichrist, and it's like, if you really think about what is being said, it's insanity. They're learning how to reach out and accept, and growing in love and knowledge. Right. So yeah, that's very Antichrist, to try to figure out how to unify with all churches and all religions to at least live in a peaceable environment, respect one. Right. So again, it looks like the Pope and the LDS leadership are moving in a vibration that kind of complements one another. So the Vatican and the Catholic Church have picked up some narratives. The LDS Church has picked up some narratives. I'm sure the synagogues, Jewish authorities are picking up some narratives, and they're moving forward, hopefully in unison. Well, the scriptures are written, again, it says that the Bible's a double-edged sword, right? But sharper than a double-edged sword. I call it a double-edged pendulum, or pendulum, because when you use it corruptly against somebody, it comes back and gets you. Now, we've all probably been known to do that somewhere. We're all mortal human here. Nah, we're actually on a rescue mission, okay? But it's not going the way God planned. Many of us don't need saving because we're just here to try to save. The first part is, well, God has to send a lot of us because nobody's, like, when I get here, I'm in a body and I'm asleep. I'm asleep for 40 years. So God's got to get people awake in the body. And when he gets, who he gets awake and how he gets awake and how much awake they are is very important. Again, the awoke is whatever. I'm sure there's some awakened people that are awoke. I'm sure there's some asleep people that are awoke. But I'll tell you this, you're never fully awakened. It's just you'll always be discovering things once God gets you somewhere. So there was a study that I think it's an unofficial, maybe unofficial, maybe official, I think it's unofficial LDS page, that LDS children are better adjusted. And again, it's not really a miracle. It's just normal. Oh wait, I went the wrong way. think I went too far this way. I must have come in from a different angle. At least I got my other thing in. Yeah, I'm gonna be late today a little bit. Not much. But probably right at the buzzer. So that way we don't have to, I don't have to turn down anybody asking me to do the sacrament. But I think I'm going to the temple. I have to go to the temple this week if it works out. All right. So there's a lot going on. It's probably better that I conserve a little bit. Well, it takes power for anybody to distribute the sacrament, and then it takes additional power when you have the curses and the haters, and the Pharisees and Sadducees coming against me like they do. Right. Well, eventually the Pharisees and Sadducees came against the Jews, and I don't think it was eventually because Rabbi Yeshua ben David was a Jew, and there was somebody I think 100 years earlier they came against. I can't remember. It just was my turn. Right? Go the other road. I get in from the other road. This may actually be a better way to go. I don't know. Well, okay, so it would be better if I stayed at the extended stay now before, like when I left, but it wasn't better that I stayed at the extended stay. You understand that? That's one of their curses. To make, when I do something, like they keep trying to force me to, they're psychotic. I have to do what they want me to do, or they go crazy. So, right, so they curse anything outside of doing what they, so the world's upside down, pretty much. So a young lady got raped in a house we were staying. It was my parents, like they were trying to sell it. But my stepfather went nuts. Like he always, Satan possessed that man so much in his life. But he was well, I know, Mama Mari, Grandma from Romania said that he was always a trouble for her. It wasn't necessarily the communists. But yeah, you overcome stuff in life, So again, I know how Satan works. So he got put in prison by the communists. His father committed suicide because of the communists. His father was an inspector of police, and he had just, I think, graduated to be a lawyer. So I mean, it ruined his life, And so I was staying at that house, and at that point I was homeless, and a couple of. This one guy wanted to stay there with me. I said, okay, he's kind of guy like you don't say no to. I mean, I hadn't been in the army yet. I was, wasn't like a muscular dude or anything. Right. So I mean, I don't think he was like breathing down my neck to stay there, but it's generally. So he was staying with me in a different room. He wasn't staying where I was. So he shows up with his quote-unquote girlfriend. And, they did their thing. I did mine. I'd see him in the evening when I went to sleep, but I'd clear out of the house, and I told him to clear out of the house in the daytime. Right. And I generally go see one of my friends. I don't know when or what. I can't remember it a lot. Maybe I was in the woods a little bit, and then I'd go see him. But he'd give me food. I'd eat. That's how I'd eat. My friend would give me. What was he giving me? He'd give me some sandwiches or something in the evening. I was going to reconnect with him, but they made it so weird I couldn't do it. I just couldn't get to it. Right. Again, they're stalking me and stuff. So, thank you, Larry. So him and this other guy end up raping that girl. I mean, it boggles the mind. Right. And they handcuffed her to something, like publicly. And I'm thinking, what are they, stupid? Right. So I had to work my way away from him, and it took me, I don't know how many days, not that long, probably a few days. Right. And we worked our way away from, my mother. I brought my mother in, and the cops brought my mother in, and right. No, it's just there was the cops. What it comes down to with me is, especially back then. Now it's not as. Let me make sure I'm on the right way. Right. Now it's not as as doable because people are leery. But you don't want witnesses that aren't favorable to the government. And back then, that's how it worked. Right? It was a different world back in the, what is it, early '80s, right? So there was no reason because there were questions about. I'm sure they were wrong, but there were what's what I'm looking for evidentiary questions that would come up if I appeared in that trial. Right. But first off, I had no idea how old she was. Right. I thought she comes from an area of affluent people. I don't know if they were affluent, but she was well spoken and all that. So I assumed she was at least 18, but apparently she wasn't. And but when you're homeless, it's just weird, And so I went to a period of homelessness, and again, from it, my mother finally divorced my stepfather because and of course he was cheating on her a couple times. He used to travel for business trips, maybe even use prostitution. There was a question about that. Okay. So again, she would have met the requirements for that anyway. Thanks. Yeah, he traveled a lot in his line of work. Travel is not a good life unless you have a structured life. Right? He did. Right? He was out there. So at a certain point, the one guy got arrested, I think, and then the guy that I'm speaking about, my mother and I were stuck with him for I think it was only like a day or two, and because when we linked up with the cops, it was after he was gone, and that was pretty early on. And I'm trying to think how it went. Well, the guy that I spoke to was the guy that was feeding me, and I said, "Okay, what's going on?" He told me that the constables were looking for him, and I think we had a name or something like that, a number. I can't remember exactly how it went. Let me get this popo over here. Whoa, I probably should have moved up here. Can't get where you can't. Oh, it's funny. It's an Ethiopian church over there. Just on the way to the LDS church, I passed the Ethiopian church. Isn't that weird? Because they just helped the Ethiopian church in Salt Lake City. I think that's where they are. Yeah, just the fact that I'm late shows you I'm lacking in some power here. All right, what's going on here? Oh, I missed a turn. Wait, where am I? All right, I'm lost. Okay, I'm really on the church, but I went too far. All right. So, where was I? So my mother and I had to devise a plan to get rid of him, and I think we did that. No, actually, we didn't. She dropped us off down there. I went to talk to the guy. Right. He gave me the information. Then I called my mother. I think that's how. I think I used his phone to call my mother. You didn't have cell phones back then. And I told my mother we gotta make this work. I don't know. The other guy may have got paid. I don't know. Right. So what I think happened is once we got him arrested, and we got him to turn himself in. Once we got that done, I think I'm supposed to. Then I think that's when we hooked up with the cops. Right. Well, there was no way with him around. There was no way to do it. He wasn't gonna I don't even know how I got rid of him. I forgot how I got rid of him. I really did. Darn it! Something's my map's screwed up. I'm going the wrong way. Where am I supposed to be? I think I made the wrong turn there. They're willing me away from the church. Well, it's confusing. I can't. Something's going on with my GPS. There's no doubt. All right. It's not pointing in the right direction. I need to get to 79th. Yeah, my GPS looks like something's going on. Now, you see, if they're recording my voice patterns right now will be stressed. Now, number one, there's no way to read my voice patterns since they've psychologically operated me for like 35 years. Because anybody with PTSD or any type of anxiety, any type of panic attack will throw off weird voice patterns. I have no idea what the hell is going on. So they won't use the word hell. Alright, so this doesn't make okay. I'm on 75th. I'm gonna make a left. Okay. No, that's all I did is I went the wrong direction. Alright, I see. But it was Satan because, again, I thought she was a really interesting person at that point. Right? After we had a conversation, I had a conversation with her just before I went in to take a bath. I was going to take a bath. Her and I had a conversation, Holly, because I think she felt the same way. Like she wanted to get away from him. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. I grew up with a lot of guys who were very evil to women, but again, the old story where they seem to get all the women. Something's going on with my GPS because it's not it's facing the wrong direction. Right. That's what's going on. But it should be doing that. Right. Yeah. Why it's doing that. Okay. Well, once we knew the constables were on him, then we were good. We just have to set him up, either get arrested or turn something. Yeah, the whole thing. It's raining now, right? Yeah, I'm being cursed from church. I knew I was from the minute I woke up this morning. I had to fight their will and their projections to not go to church. Right? Let's go to a bar and we'll drink. I think I'm going the right way. I really do. That's not like I hid, Actually, it's probably the first time I was fingerprinted. Right, and the first time my name came up anywhere is when you join the military, Right. That's about one of the only ways to get that. Or arrested, Right. You can go that way. It looks like that at the moment. Now it's raining. But in November of that year, that's like November 6th or something like that, is when I received the Little Green Book. I think it was Election Day, 1984. Okay, I'm going wrong. Yeah, it's kind of Yeah, I'm kind of late. I'm usually not late to church. I'm usually like a half hour, an hour early. Yeah, I used to be all in church, but they paid and they did their scam, and then no more church. Like, and I'm not one that requires it. So there's a whole science to gathering together and how all this works. And the Lord explained it to me and all that. So, where's the church? Well, it boggles the mind why LDS missionaries didn't corner me before this. Again, I cornered them; they didn't corner me. So again, somebody has to be interfering and representing Satan for that to happen. It's an active will of government corruption to keep me out of church and out of religion. And try to put me into other things. See, they can't put you into other things as easy. Again, when you gather together, your mind and your connections are with those people. Again, what they're trying to do is get you to only have connection with them, and then they put all sorts of satanic things in your head, and they are devils. Now, let me see if I can get in here. At least I made it. Someone made it a few minutes late. I might hang out in the hallway. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. People. Yes, try to rain. No, not today. Not the rain. Actually, this is good. I'm cutting the church. I'm not going. I'm going to go get drunk. That's a day ritual. That comes from high levels of government, retirees and active duty. I mean, they're insane, man. Big devils. They have like this skewed supremacist mindset. That's how they do it. Is with supremacist mindset. Well, if it wasn't for this supremacist mindset, then they're going to hell, right? But because they're such phenomenal people and people of God, that they're not going to hell, even though they are acting out devilry. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all